Have you ever looked at your dating history and thought, why do they all feel the same? Like different names, but same disappointments. Here's the truth no one wants to hear. It's not about what you're attracting, it's about what you're still accepting. Hi everyone, welcome back to another episode of Echoes of Me. If you're new here, my name is Kayla, and on this channel we talk about personal development and relationships. I just finished my master's degree in psychology, so I use a lot of theory as well as lived experiences. And today we're going to talk about why you cannot find the right partner, or why you keep on choosing the exact same person and nothing seems to be changing in your relationships. The first point that I need you to understand is that familiarity feels like chemistry. So the person that you are connecting to, when you feel that spark, it's because there's something inside of them that reminds you about something that's traumatically familiar to you. Have you ever dated someone and you thought you knew going into this that you didn't like this one thing about this person, but you stayed anyway? Maybe they had a specific trait that one of your parents had. You're not always attracted to what's good for you. Sometimes you attract what feels familiar to you. This is all rooted in attachment theory. If you grew up with a lot of inconsistencies, emotional distance, or needing to earn someone's love, your nervous system can confuse that with attraction, because that's what you're used to. That's what you know love to be, because that's what your family dynamic taught you. There's something in psychology called repetition compulsion, and this is when you have a relationship in your life. Most of the time it's like a parent, right? And you're not happy with it. What happens is you take that exact relationship dynamic and you replicate it with your romantic partner. Like, for example, growing up, I always felt like I needed to earn my dad's love. Like, he didn't love me. But this was like a me thing. So I felt like he didn't love me unconditionally. I felt that I always needed to do something or try hard to develop this relationship with him. So when I went out into romantic dating, that's exactly what I replicated. This dynamic of I always need to do things to earn love from a man. And the thing is, it wasn't even true. Like, my perception of how much my dad loved me wasn't accurate. It was like all in my head. It had a lot to do with the dynamics of the family, the relationship that my mom and dad had. So I took what I thought I knew within my family dynamics and I just carried that over to my romantic relationships. And it's such a dangerous cycle, because it's so unhealthy for you to take the exact dynamic that you have in your household and carry that over into your romantic relationship. You are replicating your relationship that you have maybe with your parent, because you can't fix that relationship. So what you're actually doing is you're creating a duplicate so that you can fix that one. So whatever you can't get right in your relationship with your parent, you're going to try to get right here. So there might be things that your parents do and you find your partner does the same things, and you take it as an opportunity to fix it this time, because you couldn't do it in your relationship with your parents, so now you're going to attempt to do it here. And unfortunately, that is something that will never work. You cannot fix the next person. Like, I think many women go into relationships wanting to fix the man, wanting the guy to do things for her that he naturally does not do. And I know it sounds very appealing to have a guy that is terrible but can be nice to you. But the reality is, if he is terrible, he's going to be terrible to you. Even if at the start he's nice to you and he's giving you everything that you want, it's just to get you. If it's who he is, that terrible parts of him, it will seep into your relationship later on. And you will get the receiving end of that horrible behavior. Like, growing up, I had a dad that drank a lot. And what I found is I tended to date partners that drank a lot. And I always wanted them to change that behavior for me. But what I needed to do is stop dating guys that drinks a lot. There was a time that I would literally tell myself, right, I'm going to stop dating the same person. Like, I noticed that I kept on dating the same guys, and I was like, no, I'm going to stop this. I'm not going to do it. And what I did was I went out and dated a guy that feels different. And at the end of the day, he was exactly the same. And it was because I wasn't healing that part of me that still needed to heal that relationship. Even though it felt like this time this guy is different, they ended up being exactly the same. And it's always a guy that I'm initially attracted to. And I will say, when I went and fixed my relationship with my parents, I think when I started like understanding my parents more, and our dynamic and actually going into what it is about that relationship that is bringing up certain feelings within me, or what parts of that relationship still very much reflects in my life today or who I am today. And do I like it? Don't I like it? Do I want it to be a part of me? And do I want to keep it as part of my identity, or is it something that I need to get rid of? Once I dived into my relationship with my parents, finding a partner felt different. So it's very important to understand like your dynamics with your parents, because that familiarity that you have in that dynamic specifically, that gets carried into your romantic relationships. And a lot of people, they don't know that they have it. Like, for example, if you have an absent father, you date guys that are actually emotionally unavailable to you. And maybe you don't realize it because you're like, my father was never around. Like, how can I date someone like my father? But having an absent father in itself, psychologically, that creates something within you. And that's what you go into your romantic relationships with. Maybe you have it inside of you that, men are going to leave anyways, or I need to do the most to keep a man around because it costs nothing for my dad to leave, so it's going to cost nothing for this man to leave, so I need to make sure and cling on to him so that he doesn't leave. Or because you never really got like a male figure, you go out into the world and you seek male validation then. Like, you need to understand what your parents' dynamic, whether they were there or whether they weren't, you need to understand how that impacted you, how that makes you feel. Because all that feelings, all that traits, all that characteristics, that gets carried into your romantic relationship dynamic. So understanding your relationship with your parents is helpful for understanding what kind of partner you are attracted to. You can't just sit one day and tell yourself, I am no longer going to be attracted to this bad people. I'm no longer going to find bad partners. It's not as easy as that. Like, if you don't do the work within yourself, you are going to keep attracting that same partner. You can't go out in the world expecting that you're going to meet someone different and you are still the same person. The issue is not always the next person, the issue is you. You are attracted to this person, but you don't have to accept this person, and you are every time accepting this person. So it's not just about going out and finding the right partner. It's about being healed enough to know what you deserve. You being attracted to a specific type of person, it's not random, it's a pattern. And patterns don't change unless you do. Now the next point, it's probably going to sound very cliche because you've probably heard it like a million times already, but it's you accept the love you think you deserve. If you are in a relationship where the man is treating you poorly, it's because you think you deserve that. You think that you do not deserve any more than what this man is doing for you. You can sit and want more. You can sit and feel like you desire and need more, but you will never ever get to a point where you get more if you don't feel like you deserve it. That is why so many times, I'm sure everyone knows a friend where if they have like guys or girls that are just horrible towards them, they stay. And then when they have like a guy or a girl that's like treating them so well, and like you tell yourself like, this will be the perfect partner for you, why don't you like them? And they are just not attracted to this person. Like, this is not what they want. They like the people that treat them badly. It's that they don't think they deserve any better. That's what they're accepting. You don't get what you want in relationships. You get what you tolerate in relationships. So if you are in a relationship and someone cannot communicate and they are just like never there, and you always fighting the person to do certain things, this can be a relationship that you don't want, but this is a relationship that you're in, so you are tolerating it. Like, a lot of times you can feel if someone is not there. Your intuition is very strong. When you were in a bad relationship, when you look back at it afterwards, you start to see the signs. It was there, you did have a feeling, but you didn't act on it because in the moment, obviously, like, you have love goggles on and you can't see the reality of things, so you overlook it. Like, a lot of times your intuition is telling you something is not right here, but your need for love is higher than how the person treats you. And it's because you don't think you deserve more than that. Like, you want love so bad, you're so desperate for it that you will settle for anything. And that's where you get into the worst relationship. You want in love so badly that you're sitting and you're tolerating things that you know you don't want. You know this is what you don't want. And I think a lot of the times, like, we look at relationships and we can see someone is like in a really toxic relationship, and you're like, how can you not see it? Like, you're in this, they do see it. I was in a very, very bad relationship. And when I look back, like, I just looked at my journal entries the other day and I was like, yeah, Kayla, you knew this relationship wasn't for you. You wanted to get out. There was clear signs that I was unhappy. There was clear signs I knew exactly what was happening. There was clear signs that I wanted to get out, but I didn't. So it's not that we don't know. Our intuition is telling us. It's just it's very difficult in the moment to get out of a relationship like that. But we do feel it, and we are tolerating it. It's only when you stop tolerating what you don't want that you get better relationships. Like, if you want to be in a relationship where someone treats you better, then why are you tolerating a relationship where they don't? I think in relationships, what you tolerate exceeds what you want. Because I can sit and say, I don't want a partner that drinks, but I get involved with someone and they drinking and I tolerate it. There's research in psychology around self-worth and relationships that shows that people with a lower self-esteem, they tend to be in more unsatisfying relationships, unsatisfying and even harmful relationships. Your internal belief system sets the standard for what feels acceptable. I had moments in a relationship where I just knew something wasn't right. I knew that this is not what I wanted and I stayed anyway. And it's not that I didn't see it. I saw it. I clearly saw it. And most of the time in the relationship, you see something is not right. But at the time, based on all these good traits versus these bad traits, I thought that I would never get the good traits again in another person. So I didn't feel like I deserved any better than him. And I think that's the issue. You sit in a relationship and you think about like all the good traits that they have, and you kind of don't want to lose that. And it's because you don't want to lose that you sit and tolerate all the worst parts of them. And that has to do with like having a low self-esteem. Like, you look at all the good traits and you're like, I'm never going to get this again. Like, how am I going to find someone that's better than this? Versus someone with a higher self-esteem is like, I want someone that has mostly good traits and I'm not going to settle for this terrible traits that comes with it. And I think the issue is in today's day and age, and I see it a lot with the people that I talk to, is they don't think they're going to get better than that. And they don't believe that there's people out there that come with those good traits without all that negative traits. It's almost like in your head, you start to think that I have to accept this bad traits if I want these good traits. Because a lot of the people that we date, they have good traits and they have bad traits. You almost fall in love with all their good traits and all the good parts of them, and you overlook all the negative parts of them. And you don't believe, and because you've been in relationships where it's always like that, there's always this really positive thing and this really negative thing. It teaches you that the positive, it must come with some corresponding negative. So if you have something that's really good in someone, you have something that's really bad. And I'm not saying that there is going to be someone out there without flaws. Everyone has flaws. We all have flaws. But there are some flaws that you can tolerate, and then there's some flaws that you feel like you will not tolerate. There is a person out there for everyone. And I think this mentality that you have going into relationships, thinking that you have to accept all the bad within this person to get the good, I think that's not real. I think that's a narrative that you tell yourself in your head, because I've personally experienced that. I was in relationships where I was like, this guy has such a lot of good traits and I don't want to lose this. But then on the other side, they have this horrible other trait that is traumatizing me all the time. And I'm staying because I don't believe that there's going to be someone that has those good traits without those traumatizing traits. But that's exactly what I found. And I only found it when my self-esteem increased, when I knew I deserved better, when I was not willing to tolerate any bad behavior or anything that I feel is harmful towards me. And I think it's also not just that believing that you don't deserve it, but not thinking that that's what you could get as well. And that's where it gets deeper than this. It's not just about the next person. It's all about you, how you feel about yourself, what you want for yourself, what you are willing to tolerate, what you are willing to accept, what you are willing to walk away from, and what you cannot walk away from. It's all about you. So your relationship dynamics, it's less so about your partner and more so about how are you within that relationship. What did you tolerate? What did you accept? What did you overlook? The third thing that I need you to understand is a relationship that is enmeshed versus a relationship that encourages individuality. A lot of people don't lose relationships. They lose themselves within their relationship. This is called enmeshment. And this is where your entire identity as a person becomes enmeshed or tied around your partner. When you're enmeshed with someone, your needs, boundaries, and identity becomes blurred. I used to think that being a good partner meant compromising, it meant adapting, adjusting, understanding. And while those things are true, not to the extent that I was taking it. Because what I was actually doing when I was adjusting, compromising, being understanding, I was actually abandoning myself. I was that type of person where if I'm in a relationship, whatever that person likes, I will start liking. Whatever that person is interested in, I will have an interest in it. Whatever that person is doing, I also want to do it because I want to share it with them. And when I did that, there was automatically this expectation that because I am doing that with you, you should do that with me. So then I would want the person to also like everything that I like, listen to all the music that I listen to. And then they wouldn't do that, but it wouldn't stop me though. I would still get entirely enmeshed in them, like whatever they want to do, whatever they want to watch, whatever. It was just all about them. Like I molded myself around what my partner wanted and needed, and I completely abandoned myself. I like lost who I was, and in that way my own personal growth became so stagnant because I wasn't focusing on myself. I was just focusing on the next person. And what that does is that person now has two people looking out for them. The dangerous part of becoming enmeshed with your partner is you are teaching your partner that you don't take care of yourself. You are doing everything your partner needs. You are liking everything your partner likes. You are taking such an interest in your partner. And you are completely neglecting yourself. What you are teaching your partner is it's okay for that person also to neglect you. Because you neglect you. You don't focus on your own interests. You don't focus on your own hobbies. You don't do things for yourself. So why should that person do anything for you? You're literally teaching them that it's okay to abandon you. Which is why in a relationship, you need to remember that you are still an individual at the end of the day. Yes, you have a relationship. Yes, it's two people becoming a unit, but that's exactly it. It's two people becoming a unit, not two people becoming enmeshed into one. That is where you lose yourself, and then that is why people become so codependent in a relationship, because they can't function without their partner because they don't have a life of their own. And that's so dangerous to your own personal development, because you completely lose sight of who you are, because who you are is entirely tied to your partner. And that is why there's a lot of people that can't go without having a partner, because they don't know who they are without a partner. They don't know how they function, how to live without another person. And I think that is such a dangerous space to be in, because your entire thought process, the way that you move, is for another person. And when you lose your individuality, your whole life is based on another person. Like you cannot regulate yourself because you need your partner to be regulated. You can't do anything without your partner. I personally think that that is a dangerous relationship to be in, because you will constantly be settling and tolerating things because you need that relationship. Because you don't know how to be on your own. You don't know how to function on your own. And when you don't know how to be an individual, you don't know how to treat yourself. You don't know how to be by yourself. So how can you teach the next person how to be and treat you? It's such a sad thing for me to see when two people are enmeshed like that, because I just know that there's a lot of things that are being tolerated and accepted that they wouldn't if they were on their own, that they wouldn't if they knew better, they wouldn't if they weren't codependent. So when you are in an enmeshed relationship, you are going to overlook a lot of things. You are going to tolerate and accept a lot of things, because that relationship becomes your oxygen. And you need oxygen to breathe. You feel like you cannot breathe without it, so you can't be without that relationship. And it puts you in such a desperate position and such a vulnerable position, because you don't know how to be without this person. And not knowing how to be without someone and not knowing how to be on your own means that you're just going to stay in a relationship where you're just going to accept and tolerate a lot of things that you shouldn't be. Okay, now point number 4. You teach people how to love you. That's it. You cannot tell someone how to love you. You show them how to love you. As much as you can say, oh, I'm someone that needs to be this, I'm someone that needs to be that, I'm someone that, they are not going to absorb that. What they are going to absorb is how are you treating yourself. That's how they are going to treat you. And in psychology, this aligns with social learning theory. People learn how to behave towards you based on what you allow, reinforce, and normalize. And this comes back to the enmeshment also. Like when I was in a relationship and I was just like enmeshed with the person and I was just like doing whatever they're doing, I was neglecting myself. So I was teaching them that it's okay to neglect me. When I started focusing on myself and becoming more of an individual, I took time away from relationships to kind of just figure out what my identity was, because a lot of my identity was just based on what my parents told me I was and not who I wanted to be. So I had to sit and I actually had to go rewire my brain and develop my own identity. When I became more of an individual and I understood who I am as a person, I went into the relationship as such. I knew exactly what I wanted, what I needed, and I enforced those things. And I took the time to take care of myself. Like I didn't get into a relationship and suddenly I'm no longer doing the things that I was doing before the relationship. I'm now just doing whatever my partner wants to do. I stopped doing that. I got into a relationship. I was still an individual. I still took care of myself, my own needs. I was looking after myself, spoiling myself, doing everything that I did on my own. What that does is my partner is looking at me and thinking, I'm spoiling myself. I'm looking after myself. Like I am catering to my needs. I'm teaching him that's how he needs to treat me. Automatically, he starts spoiling me, looking after me, wanting to treat me right, because that's what I do for myself. I'm showing him how I'm used to being treated and he's just kind of following suit. And that's what you need to do in your relationships. Like you cannot neglect yourself. You cannot forget about yourself. But then again, it's important to have that time to get to know yourself. You need to understand like who you are outside of relationships in order to be in a relationship and continue to keep your identity. Otherwise, your entire identity will just be enmeshed with that person's identity. And that's not what we want. What I also noticed is because I spent so much time with myself, I started developing like a lot of boundaries. Like I was in therapy, so I got to develop a lot of boundaries and I became a very boundaried person. That in itself eliminated a lot of people, because there would be a lot of times where I was like, no, like I don't want this, I don't accept this. And then the guys would be like, nah, I don't like this. And that's how I knew like this is not my person. And then there were times where I was dating people and I was like, I don't like this, I don't accept this. And they'll be like, okay, I respect that. And that's how you know, like, okay, yeah, we can continue with this. But if you don't have boundaries, you just date anyone, you won't know the difference between who is your person and who are not your type of people. You won't know because you didn't spend that time to figure yourself out, to actually develop boundaries. So if you want a different type of relationship, you need to become a different version of yourself. If you want to stop attracting the people that you usually attract, you should stop being the person you usually are. Because healing isn't about finding better people, finding better partners. It's about becoming someone that doesn't entertain what once felt normal. Conversations like this is something that I'm very passionate about. I've lived through it. I've had many relationships and I've learned a lot from my relationships. I've had to go through therapy and rewire my brain to develop a new identity. I had to sit and challenge myself to look at the relationship dynamics that I had with family members and how that hurt me and how that also helped me. I've done a lot of work to try to understand it, not just emotionally, but psychologically as well. And because I know that there's a lot of people struggling with this, I know there's a lot of people that have spoken to me about how they want to navigate their relationships and their personal development and having an identity while still having healthy relationships. These are the people that I want to help. I've done the work. I've gone through it. I know you can do it. I know you're capable of doing it. And that's what I want for other people. So I've decided that I'm going to become a life coach. And I want to focus on personal development and relationships. I want to help people break through these patterns, build self-esteem, self-worth, and actually create healthy dynamics in their lives. So if you feel like you are stuck in these cycles and you want to do and become better and you're ready to do something about it, please feel free to reach out to me. I would love to work with you. I want to help people also break out of their generational cycles and what they thought was normal or abnormal thinking and unhealthy cycles in their relationships. Like I want everyone to get out of that. It's very possible. Like now that I've experienced it for myself and I see that you can do it, that's what I want for you guys. And if you do need help with it, I will always be doing the podcast. If you feel like this is enough or you feel like you need help and you just want to listen to a podcast, like message me, comment down below what you would like me to talk about. That's also okay. But if you do feel like you need some one-on-one coaching, I'm also here for that. I will leave my email down in the description box and I hope you guys enjoyed today's video. If something stood out for you, please comment below what did. If it did spark something, if it did make you think about something, or if there's something that you want to mention that you'd like me to talk about next, you can also leave that down below. I hope you guys took something good out of this episode today, and until next time, bye! It's been 5 minutes and I feel like I said nothing. Oh, Kayla, you know this. Why? Why can't you just say it? Please feel free to, please feel free to Why is it so difficult to sit and do this? I do this all the time when I'm talking to someone, but when I'm in front of the camera, suddenly I get so nervous. I don't know what to say. As if my head is empty. As if I don't lay here in this bed at night and have all these thoughts in my head, but now that I'm sitting in front of a camera, nothing comes out. Is my camera actually going to die? Dis moeg.